Welcome back to Truth Hurts. We expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. I'm your host, Jake Duesenberg. Today we got an interesting show. How do good congressmen go bad? It happens so frequently. We'll get right into that. Joining me as always, the political junkies, led by MAGA Jesse. How you doing there, MAGA Jesse?
No, I'm doing good. I think we got a lot to get into, a lot of good stuff. And, you know, in this world, there's two types of Republicans. There's MAGA and then there's Massie. So can't wait to expose it.
That's not how you do it. There's MAGA or Massie. So Massie's his new branch of the GOP. Is that what you're saying?
He's essentially John Bolton.
That'd be kind of cool if there's a whole wing of the GOP that was Thomas Massie.
He just rose in power so quickly.
Yeah.
You're obviously listening to Mr. Straight Lace himself, William Beck. How you doing today?
Good to be here. Good to. If MAGA is an acronym, what does Massie stand for?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, basically the most establishment corrupt thing that you could be. So
Yeah, right.
The most. I think you may have misspelled it there.
yeah, I'm not going to sit here and come up with an acronym for you.
I mean, you kind of put him on the spot.
MASSIE. I'll come up with something right away.
Running the dials as always, Deep State Dawson himself, keeping us in line. You know, proving our talking points at all times. Bridget's actually overseas. She's in Israel right now, so we don't have her, I think, for the next 2 episodes. Safe travels to you. Hopefully she's in a safe part of Israel, which I don't know. Is there a safe part of Israel? She assured me there is, but anyhow, safe travels to her. What we'll do is William will read your comments today. Please join us on Rumble. Please, on Rumble.
Rumble gets the priority for the comments. So.
Yes. I do feel this episode will get censored by YouTube, and we're going to get into why I think that as we talk about Joe Rogan and RFK. So, but right now we don't have any strikes on YouTube, which is crazy. We've been in the doghouse many times with YouTube. We've been strikes after strikes, and then eventually been taken off air. Boy, did I screw up my hair coming on air, huh? Jeez. There you go. I fixed it. That was a good fix. All right, let's talk about Thomas.
I didn't notice any difference.
Did you not notice
No.
That's a joke, right?
No, I was looking up at the...
You always talk about how you slick your hair back before you come on the show,
do.
but your hair always looks the same to me.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's short enough where it doesn't really matter, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I got to do something on air. Like my friend Carmel, who does makeup, like semi-professionally. I shouldn't speak without knowing, but I want to say she's done it professionally at some point. Says that everyone should wear makeup. I think Liz Collin, who was here all last week, would probably agree with that. There's just something about guys putting makeup on. You guys out there, you know what I'm talking about. So we don't put makeup on, and you know, I feel like the one thing I do for showtime, just like MAGA Jesse runs over because he realized he didn't have his MAGA hat on. I just like do something with my hair.
What are you talking about, Jake? This is like his common garb. This is what he wears.
He doesn't wear the hats all day long, though. That's the thing.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He sleeps in the hats, too.
He does not sleep in those hats.
Hey,
they're in his office. There's a ton of those hats.
I just want to read some comments before we get started here. We have Bad Hat Harry, based Minnesota, Tucker, Glenn, Dover Dan. Got all the usuals in the chat today.
All the usuals. The gang's here. The
gang's all here.
Rumble rants. If you do a Rumble rant today, we will read your comments ahead of everybody else. You keep us alive. We love our audience. We love you guys tuning in. Hopefully you'll like this episode because the truth sometimes hurts. You know, Thomas Massie is a guy that I donated to as recently as 2020. I remember this. I shouldn't say we all, a lot of people got goofy in 2020 come COVID pandemic. Especially people in Washington, D.C., where they all of a sudden said, we're done meeting in person, and now we're going to vote on this massive bill. Guess whose bill that was? It was Donald Trump's bill, by the way.
No, it was Pelosi and McConnell.
Oh, yeah, but Trump was...
You're saying they didn't create the bill?
Well, that's fair. That's fair. They did create the bill at the behest of Donald Trump. I'm just...
No.
Donald Trump was supporting it, was he not?
Donald Trump was supporting helping the American people, helping some businesses. It wasn't the corporate corrupt thing, We've been over this before.
I know. We've been over this one. The big strike against your guy there. But anyhow, they were literally going to vote not in person. And it was like a big deal because this has never happened before. Congress is obligated by the Constitution to be there. And Thomas Massie basically highlighted this point that we're going to vote for the biggest spending bill ever, and none of us are going to be there. So, he went up against Donald Trump. Donald Trump called him a name for this very interesting, good point. And I was like, great. I'm going to donate $50, $100, whatever it was, to Thomas Massie because that's the kind of principles we need on Washington, D.C. Now, I'm not the only one that supported Thomas Massie. I think we got a picture of another guy on the show here, hobnobbing with Thomas Massie. You want to pull this up there, Deep State Dawson? A picture of one long-haired blonde kid. Look at it. Look at how
that.
young he looks.
Look at that.
That hair. That's
There I am with Thomas Massie and Justin Amash. I'm willing to admit when I've made a mistake. There I am. I called these guys
that's not a
Liberty
mistake.
champions. And unfortunately, it's not the case anymore. Both of them, Justin Amash, for example, that guy went to impeach Trump, over BS reasons, over Russiagate. So Justin Amash, he can't be taken seriously. Plus, he has all this China money. He's big business in China. And Thomas Massie, we see exactly what he's become. We're going to lay out a lot of the examples, but you're right. I had the chance to get a picture with him, and I don't regret taking the picture. He was, voting the right way at the time, but, I'm also willing to correct myself after the fact and say, this guy's not any good anymore.
So this is interesting. JM Teddy says, I donated to Massie and got my credit card stolen.
Really?
Yeah, it's interesting. But Tucker91 says, Jesse looks like a hockey player. Carla Nelson, the Patriot Carla Nelson,
Yes, she's back.
says, love the curls.
Thank
You should really bring it back. That's a great hairstyle.
Yeah, no, I had it real long for a long time, so who knows?
Pretty rad, buddy. All right, so honestly, Thomas Massie, one of the most consistently conservative legislators from the modern era. Comes from like the Ron Paul movement, which I was a part of back in 2012, and a guy that a lot of us appreciated, Young Americans for Liberty, LA group of ours out in Washington D.C., actually Austin, Texas now, but a national group.
I'm sure they're still going to defend him. I'm sure they're still going to bring him out to speak and everything. They're still going to pretend like he's their champion.
I mean, I'm not ready to completely throw out any chance of potential from Thomas Massie. What I'm going to say is he's taken some what I would believe objectively bad votes. A lot of people will argue it's subjective here, and of course he's going to have his excuses, and they all do, and I got a image for that too, the political excuses that you'll hear from politicians. But you know what? And we talked about this, I don't know, half a dozen episodes ago, how bad the debt ceiling deal was. Like, first of all, I don't know what kind of deal can be made for me to vote for increasing the debt ceiling. Because quite frankly, we should have solved this issue 2 decades ago.
Right.
Like, we're screwing over our country. I think our country's doomed economically speaking. I don't think we're doomed in terms of like a complete implosion of our government.
And there were things that were supposed to be promised in that deal that never came through, like getting rid of these IRS agents, the ones that were supposed to be hired, that's still happening, all because, Kevin McCarthy couldn't get it in the deal, and because these Republicans caved and supported the deal.
Right, and Thomas Massie not only voted for the debt ceiling bill, he was on the Important Rules Committee. He could have stopped this thing from even getting out of the Rules Committee. Mm-hmm. So it's like actually 2 big strikes against him on that issue, and that's the most important issue. We could talk about Ukraine. We could talk about even the budget negotiations, which will happen in the appropriations process, which is one of Thomas Massie's excuses, is that's when you really get the deal done. But really, the way to solve this issue is to actually have the government default on its debt. We already are defaulting on our debt. When you print money to pay off the debt, you're defaulting. You devalue the dollar. So you're not paying back the full price of that debt. So it's actually, in my opinion, good for us to actually default on the debt and get things figured out and reset. And, of course, they're just going to wait to the final timeline or to the very end, 11th hour, and then you get guys like Thomas Massie that cave on that. Objectively caved. I think he's probably voted against every debt ceiling increase in the past. He says some BS thing like we got actual spending cuts. He didn't get spending cuts. You got like a freeze. Maybe you're measuring that against the rate of inflation. But that's stupid. We are still adding debt. So if we really got substantial spending cuts, there would be no reason for a debt ceiling increase. Because we would have no budget deficit anymore. We don't need a debt ceiling increase, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no spending cuts here. We're still borrowing too much damn money. And he's part of the problem, part of the Washington, D.C. problem. That's the number one biggest issue I see with Thomas Massie.
And he's been around for a long time now. He's had plenty of years to be a good conservative. Now that he's on his 10th year, he's been in there for a decade. I imagine that being in D.C., being in the swamp for a decade of your life does change you.
Exactly. Yes. Unfortunately, you kind of want the good ones to be out there a long time, but that also gives them more time to get corrupted. Let's just be honest. And I don't know. I don't know Thomas Massie hardly at all. I don't know if I've ever met him. I don't think I've met him. I met Justin Amash once, but
And Amash is even worse.
yeah, but well, a former congressman, so out of power.
And do you remember that Thomas Massie was bringing Justin Amash on the floor of the House during the Kevin McCarthy vote? As
Correct.
as the vote was going on, Thomas Massie was trying to work these side deals to let his best buddy Justin Amash try to become the speaker. It was the craziest.
Well, we don't
thing.
know that. I don't know what he was doing. It was a
I mean,
really
that's
bizarre thing.
why else would he be there? Justin Amash was
Justin
trying to become the
Amash
speaker.
wanted to be speaker.
Yeah,
he
did.
tweeted out that he'd be, I would totally do it because you're allowed to do that in Congress. You can nominate someone not in Congress to be the speaker.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The problem is Massie was still stumping for McCarthy the whole time.
Correct. Yeah. He voted for McCarthy on every single one, and this is the thing that bothers me. So first of all, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, same thing. I know you liked Marjorie Taylor Greene, but they were big McCarthy supporters. This was a consequential vote. This is how we started The Truth Hurts, because before this it was called The Jake Show. We started The Truth Hurts in January, right, 2023, and the most important topic for us to start covering was the debt ceiling. Or I'm sorry, the vote for the speakership, and we knew right away what was going on. We did, Dawson. What was it? 4 or 5 live streams, 3-4 hours sometimes, on the votes. We were talking. We were calling the shots. We knew what was going on. Thomas Massie says he doesn't. So let's play this clip. Let's see
It's the McCarthy one.
Yeah, line 9 there. This is from I think this was an interview with CNN, I want to say. This is Thomas Massie when asked a question about why he's supporting Speaker McCarthy.
Let's take you straight to Capitol Hill, where Bob Costa
CBS,
is
sorry.
standing by with Congressman Thomas Massie of
Another
Kentucky.
Acosta.
Bob?
Hey, thanks for joining us again here outside the House of Representatives. I'm here with Congressman Massie of Kentucky. You are a conservative, someone who throughout the years has at times been described as a hardliner, someone who takes a hard line with the leadership. But you've supported McCarthy in this process. I've heard through the grapevine, sometimes you've done it with muted enthusiasm, but you've done it. Why?
Well, what I learned when we fought Boehner 3 times and eventually won and then ended up with Paul Ryan is if you change the person, you haven't really changed the way this place works. And what these 14 who just switched their votes have accomplished is they got some solid reforms to the way this place works. And I'm almost regretting that I wasn't with them. But at first I misunderstood what they were trying to do. I thought they were trying to just throw out one guy to get another guy. No, they really wanted reforms, and they've got them.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go
Stop
over
it.
this.
So
What
once
the deal
again,
is for the lay-
we aren't Washington, D.C. insiders. We're not in the Republican conference. We're just guys watching from the outside. We knew what was going on. So I just don't believe him when he says that. I think he's lying to us, actually. And that's a bigger foul. It's be a bad vote. That's one thing. But then to lie about it to people like us who support you.
Right, and
I
pretend
don't
like
have
he didn't
stomach
know
for it.
what was going on. Like you're saying, we knew what was going on. How can we know what's going on? And Thomas Massie doesn't. And for him to be, making these excuses after the fact and saying, I wish I was a part of it, So he's trying to basically say, oh, I'm with these guys, but I didn't do any of the work to prove that I'm with these people. So he's trying to win people like us over, trying to prove that he's a fighter, even though he did nothing to fight.
So we may have to do some background on Massie here because Tucker91 asked, since when was Massie a conservative? I thought he was more of a libertarian.
Well, what's the difference between a libertarian and a conservative when it comes to U.S. congressional stuff, right? So, I don't think there's much difference there. I would use those same terms interchangeably for myself. I'm a libertarian in the sense that, I believe in the non-aggression principle, but as a conservative, a small government conservative, I also believe that government should be very small, thus can't aggress on individual rights. So I don't know. I think those two things can be used synonymously. I think where there's a big partition is like when you get into like Christian conserv or not Christian conservatives, but like social conservatives and some social libertarians. There's kind of maybe some differences. There's a mix of libertarians that believe it's a woman's body and it's her right to choose what she does with her own body. And there's other libertarians that go, no, but that's a human being and you can't aggress on a human being, right? That's in the womb. So I think that's what a lot of libertarians get identified as is like pro-choice, a lot, maybe some other social issues. But there's actually splintering of the libertarian libertarian, small L libertarians, not Libertarian Party in this context.
But even the Libertarian Party is splintering. Even they're having all
Correct.
kinds of divisive issues themselves with different caucuses taking the lead and whatnot. So, yeah, the Libertarian Party is divided as well.
Well, think about this. The most famous libertarian politician of modern day is Ron Paul, and he was a Republican,
Yeah.
right? So, honestly, there's really, I guess constitutionalists might be the best way to explain it, right? The Constitution is a great document. Government shouldn't do anything that's not in the powers given to them in the Constitution in Article 1.
We do have K-Wall and T-Wall for life
You know
on
it.
board. T-Wall says, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, T-Wall. Thank you for joining. Love. It always makes me so excited when they join.
I know. That's why I thought I'd mention it. We also have a question from Terry on YouTube asking, are you going to cover Emmer also?
Well, that's why we did this episode, is because it's not just Massie. It happens with everyone, and Emmer's a great point. Like, Emmer went to – so a lot of people liked Emmer. I liked Emmer. I've known Emmer. I was showing you guys an old pamphlet of us doing an event with Emmer. I think it was in 2013, maybe somewhere in there. I think he got elected first time in 2014.
I think it was 2012 they first got elected.
2012?
I'll have to look at it.
So maybe it was 2011. No, that can't be right. No,
He
that's
ran for
definitely
governor
not right.
in
2013.
2010, right?
Yeah.
2013, we did the event 2014. So, I mean, listen, Emmer was a conservative, very well liked amongst the ranks in Minnesota. Goes out, day one, votes for John Boehner as Speaker of the House. It's like, that's the other bullshit argument that Massie's making. If you don't think this person's going to lead the right way, then you'd vote against them until we find the right guy. So it's like, well, we just get a Paul Ryan. It's like, you get the person. You can only stand up for the way you voted. You can't just talk about how everyone else is going to vote. That's on their conscience.
Yeah, you were right, Jake. He first got elected to the U.S. House in 2014.
Right. So Emmer's another great case in point. Now Emmer's the majority whip. He's third in charge of the Republican conference, and he's doing all the work for the establishment. So, yeah, another guy that just falls down the road. So I don't want to just, like, harp on Massie. Massie might be able to be resurrected in some
And he's still in
regard.
the top half, even though I'm trashing
voting
him as
mostly.
well. Yeah, as far as votes go, he is still one of the more conservative ones, but he's just proven that he's not an elite person anymore. He's not in the top. He's mid-tier.
Well, he's doing swampy things. That's the
Yeah.
reality. I think objectively you have to look at it. He's doing swampy things.
Right. Well, and there's a reason for it too, right? Like, I'm sure he's trying to earn create some favor with the establishment leadership. Maybe to run for United States Senate. Maybe McConnell's done.
Or
I mean,
Rand
who
Paul.
knows?
He might,
Or maybe
might
Rand
replace
Paul.
Rand Paul.
That's true. Yeah,
Rand
I mean,
Paul
who knows
thinking
what's
of not
going
running
on?
again?
I could see it.
I don't know. I can't. He likes his job too much. I think it could be that. He's also on the Rules Committee. How'd he get on the Rules Committee? Like, he was a no-namer up in Washington, D.C. So now Thomas Massie's on, like, the most coveted committee out there. I remember, the story, and I think I've told it on this show before. Eric Lucero, when he was in the State House, I went to his office after he missed a committee hearing where he could have killed Real ID. Right? Thomas Massie could have killed the debt ceiling bill in the Rules Committee. All bad bills should be killed in committees. And Eric Lucero was absent in that committee, and it was like the night before, and could have killed the bill. Real ID. Federal ID system. Terrible, terrible bill. And so I went to his office, and I go, what's the deal, Eric? Like, why did you miss it? He said, come on in. He shuts the door. He goes, listen, they came to me, and they told me I had to take a walk. So in other words, you, the constituents, the voters of Eric Lucero, didn't get represented in that committee because leadership, the establishment, told him to take a walk. I go, okay, so why didn't you go to the press and tell them that's what they're doing? Because that's like bullshit. It's like gangster activity. Like, take a walk? No, I'm not taking a walk. I have a vote. You're threatening to take away my vote. No, I'm not going to. He goes, Jake, they would have taken me off my committee, and I would never had any of my bills heard. I go tell the press that.
Yeah.
That's the swampy crap that they get away. So if Lucero, who's clearly one of the better votes up at the Capitol in Minnesota, that is, if you guys are following this, if we've got an audience outside of Minnesota, you're like, who's this guy? Clearly one of the better votes up there, but he was able to sell out on something so small, just a threat of being taken off a committee. So imagine the allure of doing the right thing. So not only you're on the committees, you get placed on the top committee, the Rules Committee. That's powerful stuff for these guys.
Yep.
And then, of course, think
Massie
about the
wasn't only one.
fundraising. Think of the fundraising you could do. I'm on the rules committee, and this is where we're taking to the Democrats.
Yeah.
I need $50. Chip in $50 right now.
Yeah, and Michelle Fischbach, also, as we know in Minnesota here, she was also on the Rules Committee, and she supported out of the Rules Committee. I think she voted no on the floor, but that's irrelevant because she voted for it in the Rules Committee, allowed it to go to the floor. So, her and Massie are on the same exact page on this one.
Right.
We have a Rumble rant from K-Wall for Life, $10. He asks, why would anyone we're told is from the right side of the aisle in Congress oppose censuring Adam Schiff?
Mm-hmm.
I think the argument that I've heard, and so that's a great point. So that was another big issue with Massie is just last week he voted against the censoring. I always say that. There's two different words. Censoring meaning you silence someone, which I'm very much against, and censuring. Censuring, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Censuring a congressman, which is kind of like a slap on the wrist. In the case of this one, Adam Schiff would have stand in front of Congress, and they would have been able to address him in front of it. So he would have been taking a verbal beating, and then also had to pay $16 million. And we looked up his wealth. I guess he was $1.2 million in wealth. So it would have bankrupted him. And I think good, right? Adam Schiff deserves it for what he did to our nation. Mm-hmm. So
and the number, the $16 million, that was chosen by Paulina Luna, who was one of the people who went against McCarthy in the speaker votes. But she chose that number because it was half the cost of what the investigations were that were caused by Adam Schiff for Russiagate. So she was, directly tying him to the responsibility of our tax dollars being wasted.
Right, and Schiff's behind that bullshit thing that went on 2.5 years, had the whole media. Let's be honest. Adam Schiff wasn't doing the Lord's work there, right? He wasn't just being truly, neutral, impartial, and looking to get down to the bottom of the truth. It was a complete hack job. They got what they wanted out of it. Just dragged Trump through the mud for 2.5 years. That's what they did. And the idea that this guy won't pay for it and might get promoted to the Senate, isn't he the leading candidate right now in California for that seat?
It depends on how you look at it.
Okay, but one person can look at it that way. Mm-hmm. So it's this guy should pay for that. Every liberal would say Joe McCarthy needs to pay for what he did in the 50s.
Joe McCarthy
Adam Schiff
was right.
should have paid for what he did. What's that?
Joe McCarthy was right.
Yeah, but that's what every leftist would say is
right.
What Joe McCarthy did was wrong, and he should pay for that.
But he was correct. I'm just saying, because Adam Schiff is completely making this up. FBI documents released in the 90s show that Joe McCarthy was onto something with his investigations.
Fair point.
Just throwing that out there.
Yes, I was trying to bring in the bipartisan element on this thing, but I'm glad that you read those documents.
Our side is always right, Jake. That's why the
No, what's
hurts.
our side? I don't know what our side is on this one, right? What is our side?
I know. I'm
not
just
going to stand for all the Republicans here. We stand for the truth. That's why it's called The Truth Hurts. Sometimes the truth does hurt.
No, I
see,
know.
Jesse and I support Thomas Massie. It sucks to see this. Objectively moving towards the swamp here, right? Still one of the best votes out there. Objectively making the wrong choices these days.
Yep.
So they argue that it would be bad president to answer UK Wall, bad president to go about finding another congressman, especially to one that would bankrupt them. Maybe a small tinge of credibility in that counter argument. However, what do you do to somebody that spent $32 million in government resources, our money, for a hoax, and they knew it was a hoax the whole time? That guy should be paying for it.
And one of the things that Massie says in explanation to this thing, too, is because Pelosi had, when she was speaker, she charged him and others because they weren't wearing a mask. They were taking a pay cut because of it. And he was basically saying, because that happened to me, I'm not going to allow that to happen to anybody else. It's unconstitutional. And that's why he was saying he wouldn't fine Adam Schiff. But even that's a ridiculous argument because, like you're saying, shouldn't there be a price to pay for wasting our tax dollars and leading a phony investigation against the president? I would think so.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, we got to start fighting back at this stuff.
Got a couple comments.
Sure, go ahead.
Brad Ganser says, a smart guy once told me that no one ever becomes more conservative once elected.
Very, very fair point. Yep.
Dover Dan's responding to Brad Ganser saying it's like they forgot their values and get... Oh, what happened here? Oh, sorry, my comment section just jumped. It's like they forget their values and get caught up in money. They learn or get taught how to spend it. Based Minnesota says, what conservative issue do Republicans not lose ground on? can't think of one. Tucker actually has a couple of issues that he provided. We can talk about these maybe.
What do you mean?
He says, in response to base Minnesota, he says 2A is winning out. We also did just get Roe v. Wade.
2A is not winning out. 2A just lost ground in Minnesota. We literally lost. We got red flag laws now, and we got universal background checks.
We also did just get Roe v. Wade overturned last year.
And we lost ground in Minnesota. So I think base Minnesota is making a great point. I think he said conservatives in Minnesota, right?
Federally. I think Tucker's saying federally.
Yeah,
there's
federally
some
it's a little different.
too.
But didn't base Minnesota say what in conservatives lose ground in this state?
No, just what conservative issue do Republicans not lose ground on?
Oh, okay. I guess I was thinking because his name's based Minnesota. Okay, yeah, fair point then. Yeah, federally, but certainly Minnesota, everything we're losing.
Yeah.
Well, that's why people are leaving.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, no, base Minnesota was speaking about Minnesota.
Okay, then.
Well, yeah,
then you guys are both
that's
right.
100% right. Yeah,
You're
I mean,
both right.
we have so many rhinos in our state that just cave on every little thing. We saw it on, what was it? The bonding
Transgender?
bill. Yeah,
Yeah.
the all kinds of things. So, yeah, a lot of the Republicans in Minnesota are weak.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find one example here. There's so many examples, right? You have a problem with Thomas Massie. What's your issue? Seems like he's
Which one?
Seems like he's weighed in on the presidential politics already.
Yeah, I guess he did. And, he did in such a sleazy, slimy, dirty way. Right after Trump's home, Mar-a-Lago, was invaded and raided by the FBI, tore apart him and his son's room and everything else. What does Thomas Massie do the very next day?
Well, let's go
he doesn't
pull
it out.
Pull it up here, Dustin. Let's find out what Massie did the day after Trump's house gets raided.
This isn't a video. This is just.
I thought this one was a video.
Nope. He didn't have the balls to make a video on this one.
No.
But yeah, go ahead and click the one that's Massie endorses DeSantis.
Oh goodness, give me a second.
This is after the raid, so he did this way before he even got in.
Yeah.
I forgot all about.
No,
that.
he
That's
did it
true.
before
Yeah.
DeSantis even got in, and he did it right after Trump's home got raided. Right as we're living through a banana republic. So, GOP Representative Thomas Massie endorses DeSantis for 2024.
So what's the date on that? I can't see it from here.
It says April.
Yeah.
4/5/23.
Trump's house got raided.
That
April
was last year.
Trump's house got raided last year.
This
This is, I think, right before his indictment in New York.
that may have been
Yeah,
it.
you're remembering. Oh, yeah, scroll down right there. It says in the second paragraph. Wait, no.
What?
Did I get that right? I think you're right in the sense it happened right after a Trump thing happened. And I think it was a New York indictment.
Well, regardless of what it was, then I think that one of the other things that I have attached in here is eventually going to tell us the answer on that. But
What's the thing? He says Massie finally says the truth. What is this? Is this it?
Well, that's the thing. So, yeah, Thomas Massie, he's out there endorsing DeSantis and, saying that DeSantis was a good conservative while he was in the House. I mean, all you got to do is look at DeSantis' voting record to discover that's not the truth. Because, people
What'd
don't
he
even
vote
remember
for?
that DeSantis was even in Congress, DeSantis has so many bad votes. Are
Like
you
what?
asking for examples? Okay, how about increasing the military budget and funding all of these wars abroad? I'm sure that we don't want people to die, right, William? So I'd rather DeSantis not be doing that.
For which wars did he increase?
Well, he
funding?
was passing the entire defense budget, which always was increasing. And
Really?
you see what
I was-
William's trying to do. He's trying to find any little tiny detail so that he can try to trip me up. I'm on a roll, man. You can't stop me.
This
and
is
so
the
go
truth
ahead and pull
hurts.
up.
We look at details.
I'm just
That's
asking
what-
questions.
No.
Can't ask questions,
This isn't
apparently.
a good faith interview right here between me and William. That's not what's going on at all.
Good faith. You're the one who's out
It's
here
not good
bashing
faith.
DeSantis. I don't know.
Yeah. There's no good faith between me and DeSantis either. If I interviewed DeSantis, you think I'd give him a fair shake? No way. Dawson, pull up the thing where Thomas Massie finally decides to tell the truth for once. For once in the past couple of years, he stayed pretty quiet about the truth, but because, like I said, right after Trump is getting attacked in this banana republic, DeSantis had nothing to say, and all he did was endorse DeSantis. But here, I can't really read that, but basically what he's saying is that sitting president arresting his political opponent is the ultimate weaponization of government. Joe Biden's administration has shamefully crossed into waters charted only by banana republics. So I can appreciate the fact that he's willing to admit this, but Why did it take him months and months and months? It wasn't until this latest document case that he finally decided to say something. Besides that, Thomas Massie didn't have a single nice word to say about Trump. He didn't have a single defending word to say.
A single one?
Not
You
a
sure?
single thing. Yeah, I couldn't find anything. And, it's because all I knew of him was just sitting there saying, oh, DeSantis is so great. And, he's a keyboard warrior against Trump. Him and Amash, they're two of these people that, one little attack from Trump, they get their panties in a knot, and they hate him for the rest of their life, and they got Trump derangement syndrome. One little attack, if I get attacked by Trump, you got to take it on the chin.
Yeah, the president calling me out nationwide. Gee, why would I be upset about that?
Hey, well, and then Trump went and endorsed him. Trump was looking to bury the hatchet.
By the way, why did Trump do that? Because Massie was forcing members to show up to vote for this. What was it?
We already talked
was
about
for
this.
some-
The
William.
largest spending bill ever.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
And Trump was pissed about that.
And then Trump endorsed him, and then look at how Massie repays the favor.
I think that could be part of the reason that he's fallen in line with the establishment now. I think the establishment got him that Trump endorsement.
No.
That's why-
I
that's
think
why
he's
playing by
falling
the
with the
rules.
Yeah, but he's
establishment
now
because
going
he's.
to DeSantis's camp, which would argue that he's really in bed with the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because,
no, I do
wasn't he
think
the first person to endorse DeSantis?
Yeah.
Well, the
basically.
establishment-
Before he was
candidate.
even a candidate. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just basically like, could you be even more anti-Trump? Could you be even more of a never-Trumper? You're supporting someone that wasn't even in the race, That was before, people started discovering all the dirt on DeSantis as well. So, and there's plenty of that.
I have got to play this clip of this comedian. I put it in line 20 there, Dawson. I can't get this out of my head. I know I've seen this, going back months ago, but it's like the algorithm on Twitter or in this case it's Instagram. You watch a video one time and then it's just like, oh, you want to see this all the time. So I get this. It's on my feed all the time. This is with George Santos. This impersonator of Trump looks nothing like Trump, but his mechanics are so good and it's so hilarious. Watch this clip of this guy.
Told me that, Fox News, formerly known as Fox, Woke Nation, I call it, they got rid of Tucker. Such a disgrace. Such a disgrace. And there's a rumor going around. They talk about it, out in the streets. They're saying they're hiring Don Lemon. Can you believe it? Fake news, CNN fired Don. And he's coming over to Fox, right? They're failing. The ratings are down the tubes. It's Rupert Murdoch. He needs to wake up. He needs to start covering Trump. I got one friend over there. We call him Sean Hannity.
My constituent.
That's right.
My constituent. Sean Hannity.
We love Sean.
We love Sean. We love Sean.
Unbelievable guy. He's so great. He's so great. And this guy, too. We love Santos. We love him. My new VP, okay? Believe me. Better than Mike Judas Pence. That I can do. We'll leave it at that, okay?
Oh,
Yeah, it's funny. I saw another video of another Trump impersonator going after Santos as well. This isn't the first guy. So
Oh,
no,
but
that's
this guy's
funny.
great. He just does it nonstop. He's everywhere. He keeps saying lots of deals, making deals, and then he does that handshake where Trump really pulls in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's so damn good. If you guys are not watching on Rumble, make sure you go over to Rumble to follow this show because we will probably get censored as we move into the next subject of the show. Because we're going to talk about COVID and vaccines and stuff like that.
Spooky.
Did you have something before we go into that?
Oh, did we
segment?
not want to prove that Thomas Massie is a fraud to the Tea Party?
Well, that is an interesting story. We did some digging on Thomas Massie.
I mean, that video, I think people should see that video, that DC Drano video.
No, that's a bad video.
It's not
I
a
think.
bad video. It's pretty
Well, I
accurate.
didn't have that video queued up.
Oh, I have it in there.
Where do you have that in here?
It's,
what?
it's in there.
Yep. I can't remember where.
I think it makes the MAGA argument
it's,
look bad,
line,
to be honest.
line 8, I guess.
Because they're trying to make the lockdowns look like a good thing. That really rubbed me weird when they
Let's
presented
not show that video.
Yeah.
I mean, people can go to DC Drano.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Well, I read Truthly. You can find it on Truth Social as well. Jesse Talks Truth.
Well, it's interesting we talk about a subject like this, which I'm not saying that this isn't important stuff, and we were like in show prep. What should we talk about today that no one else is talking about? I think this is, something not a lot of people are talking about, but some people are obscurely following. Like DC Drano was, hate tweeting at Massie the other day, which was fair game in my opinion. But because like a lot of these other stories, it's just getting overdone. It's kind of a slow news cycle, other than the fact that Trump is literally being indicted twice now, 2 different counts or 2 different issues, one in New York, one in Miami. They just announced the date, by the way, August 14th, right before the Fox News debate, the first Fox News debate. It's interesting. I mean, that's going to be his whole campaign. He's going to be facing this. I want to come back to that, by the way, where we see this going with Trump. But we're like ignoring some of these really, really important stories. Like we posted on actionforliberty.com last Wednesday, Thursday. When was that? We didn't even cover it on a Thursday program. Go to actionforliberty.com. You could follow the story. It's lab workers first to be infected by COVID. So, you know, the old wet market theory, that was what this lying sack of shit has been telling us forever. You know, Anthony Fauci, a guy that funded gain and function research, helped orchestrate the funding of gain and function research, right? This guy, this liar, okay, told us that it came from a bat in a wet market. It did not.
He still says that.
Yeah, still says it. Lying corporate media telling you that. Turns out some real journalists, Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi. There's one other here. I want to make sure I get it credit because I didn't know him as well. But this apparently is the smoking gun. Alex Gutentag. So what they did is they have a U.S. government source that confirmed that a couple sources that confirmed that the first cases of COVID-19 came from people not only in the Wuhan lab in November of 2019, but that worked in the gain of function part of the lab. The origins of COVID-19 pandemic came from the Wuhan lab, and we've been lied to by our government and the mainstream corporate media for years, according to a brand new article. U.S. government sources confirmed that the first people sickened by COVID-19 were 3 scientists who were engaged in gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. As you probably know, U.S. taxpayer money went to gain-of-function research through a group called the EcoHealth Alliance. Now, an admission that was kind of admission, but not, right? Because it wasn't gain-of-function. Senator, you don't know what you're talking about, as he would say to Rand Paul. Yeah, you guys were being careful with your words. You supported gain-of-function research. Basically, what did they end up calling it? Virus enhancement or something like that? Some bullshit terminology. Leading the lies and deception for the government over the past couple of years was Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Not only did he deny that the U.S. was supporting gain-of-function research in China, he also led the American public to believe that the leak of the virus came from natural sources in the wet market on the Wuhan province. Many experts questioned that narrative from the beginning. Patient zero for a virus that went on to kill nearly 7 million people worldwide. That's just killed. Now imagine all the other destruction it did to economies, to mental health, all that kind of stuff. Was Ben Hu, Yu Ping, and Yan Zhu, all researchers who led the Wuhan lab's gain-of-function research on coronaviruses. Schellenberger, Taibbi, and Gutentag credit
Zhang Zhu. That's a woman, right? I think that she was one of the doctors that was working there that went missing in China for a while. People were calling her Batwoman.
Is that right? Is that the Batwoman?
I'll look into it. Zhu, is that what it is? SHIXU?
It's Yan, YANZHU. Not a Chinese expert here. They credit this new information to, quote, multiple U.S. government officials, end quote, that they interviewed as part of a lengthy investigation by Public and Racket. This is a smoking gun we've all been waiting for. Go to actionforliberty.com, share that around. This should be a big story, and it's just not. It was basically buried by the mainstream media. Alternative media like us, we're the only ones that report on this kind of stuff. But we've been lied to about the origins of COVID-19. It comes from a lab in China, which China has a real incentive to take out America, right, and most of the Western world. And we funded this research, and no one's ever going to be held accountable on this kind of stuff, right? And then we still have these people lying to us this day. There's still the mask wearers, right, which is like the left's red MAGA hats. And we're getting vaccines still pushed against us. Very rare you see the vaccine push, but that's going to be the next subject. I think you have something you want to say, William.
Yeah, we got a that time the face did say something.
The face did say it. I got it. All right.
Okay. Brad Ganser gave us a Rumble rant of $10.
Thanks, Brad.
He asked, can someone tell me if gain-of-function research is being done at the U of M? He follows it up with saying that's being done at UW-Madison.
Well, I mean, it's not supposed to happen. It's against the law right now, right? So that's why they did in the Wuhan laboratory is they bundled money for something that was – because essentially Fauci admitted that they supported gain of function research, people would be going to prison, right?
So yeah,
that's why they're
Brad, go
playing
ahead
that
and
word.
send a link if you got proof that gain of function research is happening within the United States. I mean, that would be interesting.
Well, and of course, that was that last Project Veritas video with the dude that was
From Pfizer.
Yeah, Pfizer on the gay date. Remember that one? Such an interesting story. And then that was the implosion of Project Veritas. Now it's OMG, O'Keefe Media Group. All right. Anyhow, so this is a really fascinating story that just happened. Joe Rogan on Thursday, I think it was, Wednesday or Thursday, has RFK Jr. on his podcast, okay? Joe Rogan, largest interviewer in the history of the world. His audiences are tremendous. He's one of the most popular podcasts, if not the
His
most.
audiences are tremendous.
They're tremendous.
The biggest, maybe ever.
He won't have Donald Trump on his show, though. Big problem, Joe. But anyhow, he has RFK Jr., probably our favorite Democrat. He's been really good on the COVID vaccine issue, but that's because he's been really, I guess, good. Maybe not good. It's hard. You guys can make up your own mind. We'll be off YouTube after even discussing this. And I mean that because, like, Jordan Peterson said that YouTube took down the video interview you had with RFK. I never watched it.
I didn't either, but it looks like they kept it up for like a week or something. So it's interesting that they decided, after the fact to delete it, that much time later.
Well,
must have been getting a lot of views.
This is exactly why you go to Rumble. You follow us on Rumble. Go to Truth Hurts on Rumble, rumble.com. Follow us here because we never get banned on Rumble, okay? But anyhow, we'll keep it on YouTube as long as they allow it. But I'm guessing this one's going to get a strike for medical misinformation is what they call it. Anyhow, RFK does a great job on the Joe Rogan podcast or Joe Rogan Experience. And during this show, he's talking about this famous vaccine pusher, Dr. Peter Hotez. Hotez, right? Got that right?
Something like that.
This goofball. And mentions how he's this big vaccine pusher, but he's literally like out of shape, eats junk food, doesn't work out, doesn't take vitamins. So it's the slam against this guy who's saying that what you need to help your immune system is these vaccines that really haven't been tested. And meanwhile, all these things that we know naturally help your immune system, he ignores it. Basically, it's non-existent. What's going on over there, William? You got no audio? Oh, there you go.
Oh, I haven't had it.
No audio. Okay. I know. I thought about going on, and I was like, what is going on in our show here? So this is the let's play Peter Hotez's first I think he's maybe been on more than once, but this is his time on the Joe Rogan podcast admitting that he doesn't do any of this stuff that would help his natural immunity.
Do you take care of your immune system in other ways? Do you take probiotics? Are you cautious about your diet?
I'm not as cautious about my diet as I should be. I'm a junk foodaholic, actually.
Well, that seems like a terrible thing for your health.
It is a terrible thing for my health. It's something my wife is working on.
But that seems ridiculous for someone who works with health.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, man?
Sometimes, man, I just don't get it right.
How often?
What?
How often?
How often do I steal a bag of chips or something like that?
How often do you eat garbage?
I don't know. No, hopefully not every day, but
hopefully not every day.
Yeah, maybe a couple of times a week.
Oh.
That's what with Rachel, my daughter with autism. That's like our thing is to go to the it's called the burger joint or to Shake Shack to get a cheeseburger. We'll sneak some fries. So.
So you
live in large, we call it.
Like that mouth pleasure so much, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of
I
health.
am. Yeah. I have to concede that's the case.
Well, there's, I don't have to tell you, but there's a large body of data that connects poor diet to a host of diseases. It seems like a crazy decision for a guy in your line of work.
There you go. Sometimes it's not all brain. It's something else.
But I mean, if you ate healthy food, the thing is, your body starts craving healthy food. You start feeling
no
question,
results. No question about it.
Do you take vitamins?
I don't take vitamins.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think they do. I don't think they're needed because most in the American.
Hold up. You don't think they're needed while you're eating junk food?
Well, hopefully I'm not only eating junk food.
Okay,
right?
but there's a large body of clinical.
All right, let's
research.
cut there. And then he goes on to saying basically doesn't exercise as well. All these things that are known to help boost your immune system, and including going and get sunlight, which might be hard for someone that's job is in the laboratory. Of course, I'm sure you're outside at some point during the day where you could get sun, and you probably just instead binge watch something on Netflix with Cheetos on your lap. By the way, no beacon of health over here in terms of food. I eat a lot of junk
But we're not
food,
trying
too.
to mandate
I do
vaccines.
exercise every day, and
Yeah.
obviously you can see I get a lot of sunlight.
Yeah, but
by the way,
he's posing as a health expert. That's the biggest problem with is that he's saying one thing and then doing another, and then he claims to have the answer to all of our problems with these vaccines, but he doesn't lead a life of good personal health in any way either.
Right. Yes, and especially against Joe Rogan, who's like very tuned in to great body mechanics and great health and stuff like that and fitness. Like now Joe obviously knows how to splurge to eating, which by the way, when you work out like Joe, you can do that. In fact, you kind of need to do that, to actually have energy. And obviously he'll drink whiskey on his show and stuff like that, which once again in moderation is not a bad thing. Joe Rogan, very healthy individual. Speaking of which, I don't know if this is good for the immune system, but it's certainly good for your muscular skeleton stuff. But like all the rave is ice baths now. Joe Rogan, I listen to Joe Rogan all the time. Everyone's just raving about ice baths. So instead of me spending $20,000 on one of these ice baths that these guys have, which are hilarious, how expensive those things are.
I know,
crazy.
It's stupid.
Yeah. Now they got like solutions that are much cheaper and stuff like that, but
yeah, garbage can.
I was up north in Gooseberry Falls for the last 3 nights or whatever. And every day I'd go into Lake Superior, which usually seems crazy. You never see people swimming in Lake Superior because it's freaking cold. I don't know, it's 38 degrees or something like that. And day one, about a minute and a half I was in there because I hate cold water, but I like the cold, generally speaking, like cold weather. So then the next day I went in, and it's not like all of a sudden Lake Superior got warm. I lasted 20 minutes. I was like, what?
Wow.
Like, where did this superhuman capabilities? So when I went back the final day up there, Sunday, I jumped in. I did 5-6 minutes. I could have done more, but I was shivering cold so much. Like, I think it took me about 30 minutes, an hour warming up after that 20-minute plunge. But it makes you feel really good. I don't know if it's great for your immune system, but it's certainly good for, like, I don't know, just your body, it just generally feels great. It's got the healing because all that blood rushes to protect your inner organs and then comes back, and that's supposedly very good for the muscles.
I've seen, since I'm getting into fitness stuff in general, I've seen a lot of ice bath stuff pop up, and I think my favorite comment I've ever seen on it was the hardest part of doing ice baths is not posting it to social media afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy right now.
Okay, all right, I didn't do that. I gave up on posting on social media about 3 years ago. So that's so funny. That's so true. And it was badass because on Sunday it was incredibly windy. So there was big chop like on this Lake Superior, big waves. Actually, it's pretty dangerous going in there in that cold water with the chop. But I felt pretty comfortable in my swimming skills. I was like, this is a badass picture. It would look good on Instagram. But yeah, there's something about, showing people you're badass. Of course, the other thing I always said back in the day, and I was guilty of this, okay? Mind you, I'm guilty of this thing. But anytime you make a really healthy meal and you put like some love and energy into that meal, you take that photo and you put it on Instagram, right? You're like, look at this turkey breast salad that I made. So healthy. It's like, yeah, but I didn't show the junky cheeseburger I had the next night, right? Like,
yeah.
You're only showing the stuff you want people to see, right? They all think through it.
No, I know. I do. Well, I don't ever post it, but I do take pictures when I make something really, really good. I take a picture, but I think nobody else cares. I think, nobody's going to care if I made this for myself. So I'm just going to keep the picture for myself to enjoy,
What is a weird thing? And Joe definitely does that. Joe Rogan does it a lot. And, of course, he is a comedian, so he probably knows how funny it is that he does it. But he does the ice bath. But that's where I got that 20-minute mark from is Joe did this infamous video where he shows himself getting an ice bath for 20 minutes and using the breathing techniques. And I thought, there's no way I could do that. And it might have been colder in Lake Superior, but all I'm going to say is it was freaking cold. I couldn't believe I could do it. Anyhow, sorry to go on that tangent. Ice baths, really interesting stuff. Getting sunlight does help your immune system. You get vitamin D the natural way. But this guy rejects this stuff. And then you're right. He's telling everybody, you should take the vaccine. This is what you do for your own immune system. It's like, who are you? You're a hypocrite. Like, the only way to solve this thing is through that. And that's, of course, where Joe Rogan came on the stage in COVID, is all of a sudden he takes ivermectin. He tells people that. CNN does this hit piece on him, basically, with him like this lens over him or filter, making him look sick when he really wasn't. He was fine after a day, and he took ivermectin, which probably wasn't the reason that he recovered, or maybe it was. Either way, the guy's fine, and they shit on him because he won't get vaccinated. It's like, why would he get vaccinated? So anyhow, he's got this, to put a bow on it. He's got RFK. RFK makes some really interesting arguments on vaccinations in general, okay? I'm not anti-vax in just general, okay? Plus I was in the Army, so I don't even know what the hell they put in me. You know, that's the sad thing. Is when you're in the Army, it's like you don't own yourself. But it was so obvious to me in this COVID jab, and then that definitely got me thinking more about this. And RFK's done decades of research on vaccines. And he's got some points, okay? Enough point where guys like me are like, you know, I'm kind of interested in some of this stuff, right? Because I'm definitely there with you on
just
the COVID
when he talks
vaccine.
about, like, that there should be data before a vaccine is released that, you know, proves if there's going to be any negative side consequences and everything. And, you know, one interesting thing about that, Dr. Peter Hotez, he testified before Congress, and he said something along the lines of, there's a lot of risk around mRNA technology, and this shouldn't be taken lightly. And, you know, it may not be effective for COVID. And then, you know, fast forward a few months, he's all for it. You know, he completely backtracked on what he said before and just, you know, immediately said, this is good to go. We need to approve it. We need kids to get it. So he had a total reversal on things as well.
Well, I was all for mRNA technology as well, because it'd be great. It'd be great advancement in society if it worked, right? The problem is you can't mandate this thing, and you still have to do the safety protocols, and they didn't do that. Yeah. And you can't hold these guys liable if there's vaccine injuries. So, yeah, I should have been the biggest fan of mRNA technology. We all should have been. But the reality is that's not what they did. They pushed this stuff on us, and they used our money to buy up all this supply and gave these guys record profits. So, anyhow, Peter Hotez must not like Joe Rogan discussing his physical nature and junk food habits and stuff like that, and the fact that he platformed RFK. Because how dare you platform a candidate for president? That's where we are in the United States right now. You can't even platform a guy like RFK, who comes from a very famous family. I don't know if you know this. His uncle, president of the United States, was shot by the CIA, and his dad, the attorney general of the United States and senator at the time, was also shot and assassinated by the CIA.
While running for president.
Leading in many regards. I think he just won California's primary or one of the other big states. So, anyhow, storied family, right? Credible source. But RFK could be wrong. He definitely could be wrong. You know how we find out who's right and who's wrong? We discuss things. We debate things. And so Peter Hotez slams Joe Rogan on Twitter, where we all slam people. And Joe Rogan goes, well, why don't you come on the show and debate RFK, and I will donate $100,000 to the charity of your choice. And what did Peter Hotez say about that, Jesse?
Yeah, no, he said, you know, I'd love to come on your show, Joe, except, you know, he doesn't want to debate RFK Jr. He basically was saying the same thing that, you know, oh, you got my cell phone number. You can always talk to me, Joe. But Dr. Peter Hotez, he's afraid to debate RFK Jr. And, you know, RFK Jr. and Rogan talked about this on the episode where basically that Hotez had said that, you know, Kennedy is a slick lawyer and that he'd have his way with words and so that he wouldn't feel comfortable debating him. Hotez says that you shouldn't debate a conspiracy theorist, but shouldn't, you know, someone who is going to be considered one of the leading voices for these vaccines. Why would you not want to discredit someone? Why would you not want to debate RFK Jr. and try and end it once and for all? Unless there's some truth to what RFK Jr. is saying, it should be easy to debate him and defeat him.
Especially when it's your area of knowledge.
Yeah, it's his study.
Like, this is your study. This is your career. I would gladly debate someone. Let's say there was someone that was doing fake valor, right? Which is like people dressed up in the military saying they did certain things. I would be glad to have that discussion on air and point out where this person's lying, right? It'd be great. Stolen valor, not fake valor. Stolen valor. I haven't heard a lot of stolen valor claims lately, but that was a big thing, right? Stolen valor. My favorite one was this like 20-some-year-old kid dressed up in a sergeant major outfit. Like some sergeant who was, in plain clothes. It was like at the mall. He was just some sergeant at the mall. He's like, what are you doing wearing this stuff? He's just like, this is so ridiculous. This kid's clearly not a sergeant major.
People do it for discounts and stuff at restaurants.
Yeah, and people might not know, but the outfit looked ridiculous on the kid. So, why wouldn't you debate it? And basically, I think it's gone up to like $2 million. Guys like Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk have all chimed in.
Big players are just saying, I'll throw in another $100K.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's over $2 million. Charity of his choice to debate someone on a subject you're an expert on. You are a monster for not doing this. I can't. So once again, he's actually ruining his side more. Because guys like me that are very open-minded on this go, man, RFK makes some good points. The only way you could pull me back to the other side is hearing the alternate viewpoint. Well, if you're not going to do the alternate viewpoint in a way that's not going to be propaganda, because Joe Rogan will be fair, right? Joe Rogan's had a couple debates on his podcast before. They're rare. There's one really bad one. It was like two health experts. One said calories in versus calories out is all that matters. Another one's like, no, it depends on what those calories were. Wasn't it? It was not. I thought the debate sucked.
Who was that?
Oh, I don't even remember who the people were.
Oh, I'd be interested in watching that one.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. And I also think it's a ridiculous argument. Like, if you get 2,000 calories in Cheetos versus 2,000 calories from like whole grains and lean meat and an apple, I don't think it's even comparable.
For weight loss, calories is all that matters. But
I don't think so. I don't think so.
General health.
No, I don't agree with that. No, I think that's wrong because I think certain things you eat change how your body burns.
But why?
That's the whole premise behind the keto diet.
The keto diet doesn't work. Most keto things are just lower calorie in general. That's why you typically lose weight.
No, if you put
ketosis is a real thing, but it's very hard to achieve.
But the idea behind ketosis is that your body is now becoming accustomed to burning fat and not carbohydrates. So that's the whole idea behind the ketosis diet. Is if you're not consuming carbohydrates, your body is just learning how to be very efficient at going into fat deposits to use that for energy.
Yeah,
that's what they allege. Okay, but I'm saying,
there's a lot of people who disagree with that.
Oh, okay, fair enough, and that's why they have the debate. I just think it's a little ridiculous to say that it's just calories in, calories out. That's my opinion. Looks like we could have this debate on this show. I don't know if you guys care. Another one was Egyptology. He had what's Michael Shermer, who's a scientific skeptic, or skeptic, I should say, debating Graham Hancock. That was an interesting one. I'm a little nerdy on that stuff, but I'm very interested in that subject, Egyptology. So, but Joe plays a very fair and balanced way, and Joe has no skin in the game. Now, Joe obviously has made up his mind in terms of the COVID vaccine, but I think you can even change it with better arguments. The point is they won't even argue. They won't even come in on having this debate. What's your and I think they even offered anyone that he chooses can debate on his behalf $2.5 million to a charity of your choice. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
watch, he gives it to the Bill and Melinda
tweet,
Gates Foundation, and it's used for vaccines for children across the world.
No, I can't remember if this was the tweet that was deleted or not by Hotez, but he said, "Be serious, Joe. That's what you throw out for your hunting buddies on a weekend. A $50 million endowment, which you, Spotify, RFK Jr. can easily afford. Not for me, but so we can continue making low-cost, patent-free vaccines for the world's poor, preceded by RFK Jr.'s public apology." So he wanted a public apology. Yeah, that's the one that I thought was deleted. So he wants a public apology from RFK Jr., which never going to happen. RFK Jr. has a spine made of steel, so I don't think that he's going to cave to Peter Hotez on it. And the fact that he just wants to use that money, he's obviously going to profit off of it. It's just, this Peter Hotez, it's nice to see that people are exposed to how much of a slimy, evil guy he is.
Yeah, but that's my issue is it's just not. It's like not even talked about that much anymore. I mean, Joe's got such a massive platform; it forces it at least into the Twitter world. But it's not like I don't think the mainstream media is talking about this at all, right?
I saw CNN had some articles,
They
but
did?
obviously, they're hit jobs on or on on Rogan.
Yeah, we know how they covered it.
Mhm.
Let's go to the comments here.
We started a discussion about calories in, calories out versus other types of
someone weighed
diets.
in on that. Okay.
So Tucker says it's your diet and Mount Eaton. Based Minnesota says exactly, Tucker. Fasting helps as well. It sounds like Tucker fasts every morning. Dover
we all
Dan
fast
says,
every morning. That's the term breakfast. That's where breakfast comes from. You're breaking your fast, right?
Well, but he explains later, I usually wake up, have a cup or two of coffee, do stuff, go to work, then finally eat at like 10 p.m. So he does the one meal a day.
Oh,
sort of
really?
thing, yeah.
You know what?
I don't think that's what I mean, at least for me, I don't break any. I wake up in the middle of the night to eat a can of tuna just to get it down.
Is this dry humor, or do you actually?
No,
wake
I
up in the
think
middle
he
of-
does that actually.
It's not tuna, it's a protein shake, but tuna sounds funnier.
Okay, so it's a little bit of
So he
both
understands
then.
entertainment value. Wait, so you get up in the middle and it's pre-made shake, right?
Yeah, it's like the Core Power Elite 42 grams. of
Oh,
protein.
those are
yeah,
yummy.
yeah, those are.
Wait, so you what time do you get up?
Like to drink this shake.
Yes.
Some 3 sometimes, I guess.
Are you
You
trying
set
to
your
speed up
alarm?
No. It's whenever I wake up.
You wake up at 3 a.m. every night?
No, it's when if I'm asleep and then I wake up in the middle of the night, then I'll drink. And usually I do it to go to the bathroom too.
So it's only if you wake up.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
Do you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? You're 25 years old, or what are you,
Yeah.
25?
But I drink plenty of water, so.
Well, sometimes I wake up and go to the bathroom. I don't think it's
I
that
thought I was the
uncommon.
old guy on the show. Jeez, guys.
People do that. What are you
I
talking
got steel
about?
bladder. I really
It's
do
not
have
an
to
old
go.
people
Babies
thing.
wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, well, I know, but there gets to be a point in, you don't get up in the middle of the night anymore, right?
Is there? I mean,
yes,
I guess.
there is.
Yeah, I just get up in the morning.
Yeah, there you go. Jesse, the normal guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually more commenting on the fact you guys get up to go to the bathroom. That's
Well,
like
sometimes.
That's like an
what's-
old man thing right there.
Do you
I don't
stay in
think that's
bed
an
and
old
go to the
person
That
bathroom?
is an
thing to
old
do.
person thing. Yes, it is.
Sounds
Although,
like
Am I
old.
once
supposed
again,
to wet the bed instead?
Yeah, that sounds
What are you
older.
suggesting
you just
here?
don't. You have a bigger bladder. You don't have a big prostate issue at you're in your 20s.
I just
Although I will put it this way, maybe your generation hydrates more. Because I was back at my parents' house a couple years ago, and like the neighborhood was all together, hanging out in the yard, and all the old farts were talking, and they were ripping on my generation because we all carry around water bottles and like coffee cups and stuff. It's like they never did that.
They used to have to lean over and drink it straight out of like the ditch.
There
But
you
we
go.
don't have to do that anymore.
So maybe you guys are just more hydrated. So I guess maybe that makes sense. But yeah, I wouldn't think you guys are in that class of people that gets up in the middle of the night.
Well,
I
only to
don't
drink
think this
protein
is an
shakes.
actual thing. But
Well, don't you go
What do you mean
before
you
you
don't
go
think
to
it's a
bed or
thing?
something?
Well, I do go before I go to bed.
And
yeah.
you gotta have another one?
Well, not all the time, but like every now and then I'll wake up. I'm like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom.
You do go to the bathroom a lot around here. I'm sorry to air this out on our show, but it is interesting. Like in our sync meetings in the morning, you're supposed to, because of William, you're supposed. Do you mind if I bring this up on air?
You already
is this too
have.
personal? Okay. You're supposed to go to the bathroom before a meeting so you don't interrupt the meeting. So what does William do? He drinks so much water during the day that he literally can't last more than about 30 minutes. And so he'll start doing push-ups because that's how you buy off your, breaking the rules. It's like 10 push-ups. Is that a rule? 10 push-ups if you go to the bathroom?
I usually do like 10 to 15.
But I commented this morning, I go, it's just go to the bathroom, William, do the push-ups afterwards. You're actually more distracting because you do the slow get up, like no one's seen you. Then you slowly go to the ground.
Well, I prefer to pay it off before I
know, but then we're all watching. It's like, well, now we got to
Well, you're going to watch me afterwards to be sure that I'm doing it. So
No, I don't. I trust you.
So you don't have to watch me do them then. You'll
Correct.
just
I
know
don't
I'm-
need to watch you doing them. It's just like, you go to the bathroom so much. Like, well, you know what? It's all those diet drinks too. That's it.
It's part of it as well.
Because
I am trying to
you
drink
are
more
addicted
water.
to diet drinks.
I am.
The Monster Energies. How many Monster Energies do you typically drink in a day?
So I usually don't drink Monster Energies. This is what we have here at the office.
I'm sorry.
It's Ghost.
Mister, look at him being so detailed here.
I mean,
See, you're always going to the details, William. I see what you're doing here. Right, Jesse?
Yeah, but it's not a good faith conversation again.
How many energy drinks do you consume in a typical day?
It depends on the day. Actually, like on weekends,
Yeah,
I
well,
won't
it
drink
depends on
any.
the day, and I said the typical day. So what's the typical day?
Typical day, if you want like an average, it's probably like 2 to 3.
that,
So we'll
that
round up to 3.
blows my
Now,
mind.
he's got a Coke Zero right there.
It's empty, so
Yeah, it was full before you got in here.
yeah.
It's only an hour into the show. It was full. I saw that thing. Wasn't even cracked open.
It
How
blows
many-
my mind that we've gained viewers during this conversation.
Well,
Yeah, because I think people will want to know how you are so straight-laced with all the caffeine you consume in a day. How many of those Coke Zeros, Diet Cokes, Diet Mountain Dews, if we want to be detailed, how many of those do you have in a day?
That is not detailed. I don't drink Diet Mountain Dews.
Okay, but I just want to cover all the bases. How many diet sodas do you drink in a day?
if you're counting the energy drinks in addition to that,
No, we've already covered the energy
okay,
drinks.
so this is
3
separate.
energy
so
drinks.
probably 5 to 6.
Oh my heavens!
That's
That's why we keep running out of these things in the fridge. Oh
I
my
bring
God!
own. I bring my own sometimes.
I'm not gonna shit on William for it because he currently has more muscle mass than I do, so he must be doing something right that I'm not. But it's like
I've been doing it
that's
longer
crazy.
too. So you've actually done a great job of catching up. I'm surprised how fast you've grown
Thank
muscle.
you. But that's so many. I tried one of those Ghost drinks that you had.
He's got
the
a diet. He's
Sour
got a
Patch.
Coke Zero too.
Yeah, this is my one that I allot myself every day, right next to my.
Well, so the
right
Sour
next to
Patch
my-
Kids isn't actually my favorite flavor. The Swedish Fish is like my. I don't know. Do you like Swedish Fish?
No.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, they have like every kind of candy flavor you want. It's only 10 calories per thing.
It's 10
know,
calories, which is nice, but like those things it just tasted like so much artificial. Like it blew my mind a little bit how you drink that. I mean, but again, I'm not going to judge
Kinda
it.
in
It's
the mood
just
for
weird.
one of those. Do we have any of those monsters that I bought?
No.
Takes-
Yeah.
Were you going to try one?
No,
We should
I've
get
had
Jake
them.
to
I like it.
try.
I'm kind of in the mood for it. I'm in
I
so
am
much
too.
pain
I'm
right now. in
falling
my
asleep
back.
right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm looking at you. You're like kind of dozing off. I'm like, what on earth is going on? So six diet or 6 Coke Zeros / Diet Cokes, 3 energy drinks. What?
Based Minnesota's comment. How did this show devolve to bathroom habits and caffeine intake?
How did we start on that bathroom habits thing? You guys were talking about. So we were talking about getting up in the middle of the night.
I eat tuna in the middle of the night, yeah.
Yeah, but why did you say tuna in the middle of the night? Oh, the debate on Joe Rogan's podcast about calories in, calories out. That's how we got into that subject.
That's a weird one. I mean, it's definitely not good to eat 2,000 calories of Cheetos every day, but
Well,
it
yeah, I
sounds
mean,
right
it's-
when it comes to
so I
weight
followed.
loss.
There's this guy who does this experiment. So he ate purely Twinkies for like a month or something. I'm butchering the parameters of the experiment, but he wanted to prove calories in, calories out, and he lost like I think 50 pounds just by eating Twinkies because he stayed in a calorie deficit.
He couldn't have been having a great time with it, though.
No, it probably sucked.
Yeah. But once again, I don't disagree with that statement. Calories in, calories out.
Right.
Which is kind of funny on Twinkies. Can't imagine what that would do to somebody. But I'm saying, don't you believe that there's more to it in terms of like hacking your loss, or is it just purely calories out?
So I've
calories
been
in?
more open to the idea that there are other factors, like preservatives, for example, because I've seen a lot of examples of people going to Europe, for example, eating whatever they want. They actually lose weight. I think here in the United States we have so many preservatives in our food, and you even look at RFK was talking about this, how they do the Roundup on American corn, and you have all these health problems that come along with that.
Yeah, that was kind of spooky. Look up Joe Rogan, the picture of Joe Rogan and RFK. They're standing there. I think he's got the arm behind his.
Oh yeah, RFK's jacked. He is.
It's
strong
actually.
guy.
I'm thinking like, man, he might be the most in shape guy if he becomes president. Now, once again, I don't think he's gonna become president. He's pulling 15 to 20%. Look at that. That's a healthy looking dude. He's 69 years old. He's as old as my dad.
How tall is Joe Rogan?
Joe's
He's
short.
short.
Joe's
5'8".
like 5'8".
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Short Kings. Let's go.
Joe's like 200 pounds too. He's super jacked, like super athletic.
No,
Joe
I
was a
mean
legit
RFK Jr.
kickboxer.
seemed like a regular guy during that interview. It was like, wow, this guy actually seems really, really cool. Like you could see he's led like such an interesting life, and he's doesn't seem to have like the ego associated with
He
it.
seems like a real person.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Yeah.
just watching it like, man, this
Did
guy
you
is
know
cool.
that his so he's been married 3 times. He's married to Cheryl Hines right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheryl Hines infamously, she's in a lot of stuff, but infamously, Larry, I was gonna say Larry King. What's Larry's name? Oh my God, brain fart here from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, I know. Larry, the guy who pretends to be Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Larry David.
Larry David.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's. 'Cause I love Curb. Curb's a great show. Okay, so Cheryl plays this wife on the show Curb Your Enthusiasm. I mean, they eventually get divorced, but they're still hanging out because it's Hollywood, right? She's married to RFK Jr. Do you know what happened to his other 2 wives?
I remember
someone in the comments
something.
just said, I don't know if you want us to guess or if.
What did
I
they
can
say?
read.
And who was
so
it?
JM Teddy said RFK Jr.'s wife killed herself.
Both.
Both of them?
First 2, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Kirsten.
That's
told
kind
me.
of sketchy.
I was like, what? Like what? I mean, think about that. What are the odds of that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kennedys have not had good luck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Kennedy certainly, and I don't know his whole issues and stuff like that. Certainly, his family seemed to be his uncle. Certainly, probably one of the better presidents of modern day, and a Democrat, by the way. Very much hated the CIA, and they lied to him, and then basically assassinated him, which he believes they assassinated his uncle, right? Which seems to be pretty obvious at this point. You know, JFK was a war hero. The oldest of the Kennedys was actually killed in World War II, right? So they were actually war heroes. Infamous family, but obviously big money family. Ran politics in mid-century.
Well, yeah, JFK was pretty much put up on a pedestal. Like, everyone praises his book. What's the name of his book?
RFK's book?
No, JFK's book.
I don't know.
Well, supposedly it's no good, but it won some sort of award because
really?
again they're trying to prop up Kennedy as this.
Oh, you're saying back
politician.
in the 60s, 50s, 60s, then, or what?
Yeah, we were talking about JFK, weren't we?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just guess I didn't realize the book was.
And RFK, he made an interesting point about JFK as well. That back when the media wasn't what it is now, when it wasn't as corrupted of an institution, where it wasn't just feeding us propaganda, how JFK was very smart at learning how to navigate that system and become the candidate that they wanted. And it's interesting because looking back on the media back during that time, decades ago, you can see how it was a different game. And,
was it though? Were they still lying to us back then? We just didn't know.
Not as
if we
heavy.
didn't have the internet,
wouldn't
it just be? We'd be screwed. If we didn't have the internet, we'd be screwed at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have radio, which is still regulated by the federal government. We would be so screwed.
Well, if you ask RFK, Wi-Fi is giving us cancer.
Yeah, and that's where Once again, getting back to original point, Hotez should come on and debate RFK. Maybe RFK's off his rockers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know where I was going with this. 20% maybe best case in the Democrat Party. He's not going to be president because
He's going to win Iowa and New Hampshire, though.
What's that?
Yeah, I've been seeing those articles too.
But Biden lost both of those states. I don't think Biden actually did well until
for
South
an
Carolina.
incumbent president to lose any state is a big deal. But the reason why that might happen is because Biden might not be on the ballot because Biden is refusing to support Iowa or New Hampshire being the first caucus or the first primary in the nation. He wants it to be South Carolina. But what's really interesting, I've been looking into this quite a bit. So what's really interesting about this is that the National Democratic Party, the DNC, they say that they will not recognize Iowa and New Hampshire delegates if they are not for Joe Biden. If they end up holding a primary or caucus before the deadline that the DNC wants, that they're not even going to be recognized. So we might see a situation where Iowa and New Hampshire either don't have any representation or it's going to be fake representation. Puppets chosen by the DNC to support Joe Biden. So the DNC convention is going to be interesting to follow.
Exactly, and that's how these parties get run, and the Democrats are terrible. They're not grassroots-oriented at all. Not a bit. And so, yeah, it's just it's a rigged system, and I still think Biden's not going to be the candidate. I think they come out of the DNC convention. So they get rid of RFK. I should be careful when I say that. Saying get rid of a kidney means another thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to let him win. And then they'll probably, either put Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama as the candidate coming out of the convention.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Gavin Newsom just did that Sean Hannity interview where, it was pretty combative and there were some interesting parts there. But, despite how evil Gavin Newsom is and how much of a tyrant he is, he's good with his words. He can definitely convince these Democrats. He's a slick guy. He's got his own statistics too. He knows how to cherry pick the, pieces of evidence that, work in his favor, and that's what he highlights.
Do you know who Gavin Newsom's ex-wife is?
Yeah, Kimberly Guilfoyle. Yeah, it's people don't talk about that.
But
and also,
who's Kimberly Guilfoyle's?
who's Don Jr.'s girlfriend now. And what's also interesting,
it's all one big family. That's all it is. The system's rigged.
Yeah, when
Even
Gavin
the Trumps
Newsom,
are in it.
When Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco, there's also a video out there where Gavin Newsom was sleeping with his campaign manager's wife. And, this is one of those things that nobody even knows about, but he went out there and did a press conference. Oh, I'm so sorry for the people I've hurt. I had a lapse of judgment. It's like, you didn't have a lapse of judgment. You slept with your campaign manager's wife. That's exactly what happened.
Didn't he have a lapse of judgment when he missed the...
when he had the wine cellar thing? When he had the birthday party?
Well, that too, but
yeah.
The lapse of judgment when he missed the... was it like a Swedish conference on, like... fighting global warming? People allege that maybe he got injured from a vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
But he really wanted to be with his kids for Halloween.
That that's right. I forgot about that
liar.
one. Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll get to the bottom of that story if he runs
it'd
for
be
president.
nice. Sean Hannity wasn't getting to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it seems old school now, but...
No, it kind of felt like one of those interviews where like, oh, yeah, we got to pretend to be opposition, and then we're going to shake hands and be friends after the whole thing. So that's what it appeared to me.
What do you got, William?
Got a lot of comments.
All right, let's go to the
First
comments.
of all, Dawson, I sent you a Twitter Spaces link. I tried posting it here in the live chat, but it disappears when I post it.
Oh, interesting.
So
Yeah, we'll be doing Twitter Spaces, so go to action_liberty at 2:30. We'll be live on Twitter Spaces, and we'll do a follow-up to the show.
Yep, yeah, and there are a lot of comments I missed here. We had a pretty
Go ahead. Yeah,
active
we're
chat
speaking
today.
out our asses anyhow at this point. We don't know what we're talking about. I mean, I think we've I think after an hour we've just been covering a bunch of subjects we don't know much about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you may not know much about the diet thing, Jake, but
well, one last
I
thing
would say I think you're wrong on this. I mean, I want to see this Twinkies thing, but I'm just saying there's certain foods you eat that give you a certain kind of energy. So I can't just be simple as calories in, calories out.
Yeah, calcium. Like there's all kinds of nutritional benefits
plus,
and everything that helps specific parts of your body.
Yes, plus we know that you got to consume protein to build muscle mass. So where does that come into
Right, but
play?
William's point was weight gain specifically.
For weight loss.
Yes, but once again, if you consume protein, that's adding to, assuming you're doing weight training, also produces muscle mass, or at least
so
keeps
it's very hard to build weight from muscle mass. That
no, I know, but
over the course of a
hold
year,
on. If you ate
can
Twinkies, if you ate Twinkies for 50 days straight or whatever it was, you're going to lose muscle mass because you're not getting the adequate amount of protein.
I mean, yeah, but you're also going to lose fat because your body has to
Correct.
resort
So
to
in
eating
total,
fat.
But I'm
because
saying
you're in that calorie deficit.
But just taking those two different calories changes how muscles stay on your body or grow. And how does that
right,
not...
we were just talking about for weight loss, though. I mean, America
Yeah,
has
but
a weight
what
loss
weight
problem,
loss
and
is
you don't
everything.
need to turn to this these crazy diets in order to lose weight. It's really simple. You just need to lay out a plan.
Well,
and
once again, we're
meal
talking
prep.
our asses. None of us are experts on this subject. So maybe that's why it was
I've
interesting.
lost a lot of weight and I've gained a lot of weight, so I can speak as to that.
Well, so have I there, William. But and I guess it is. I always say the best diet out there is the Alfwam diet. Eat less food, work out more.
Actually,
right?
Brad has and sorry guys, I'm missing a lot of your
Go
comments.
ahead. Let's
right
go read
now.
some comments.
We'll go to the Twitter Spaces and we can talk more there. But Brad Ganser has a good point. Weight loss does not equal healthy weight loss, and that's very true. Like if you're dropping pounds a week, unless you're over 400 pounds, like that's not healthy weight loss. Like it's got to be a gradual thing,
Or
and
if
you
you're
got to do
anorexic
it
or
while still
something.
getting the nutrients that you need.
Okay. Well, there you go. You heard it from William. You made a great point. William never says that.
Yeah, we missed a lot of good RFK comments.
Oh,
I'm
shoot.
sorry
I thought they
about
were
that,
going to
guys.
talk about your bathroom habits.
Sorry, I'm just scrolling back up here. Okay, I did miss this one. Based Minnesota says, Will, you could just throw a diaper on right before bed. That's true. So K-Wall for Life says, the leftist big brain should have no issue debating RFK Jr. and vaccines on equal footing if he's so wrong about everything, right? Instead, they hide in protected safe zones like CNN. Frauds.
Exactly, yeah.
That's
all they do. They never want to debate.
Right.
In fact, we would gladly have all these people on our show to debate. They never come on. You kidding me? They never would come on. We thought maybe we could get one of these lefties to come on. Who did we invite that one time?
Sandra Feist?
Yeah, was it Feist?
I
It's
think
so
it
hard
might
to
be.
keep track of all these
invited
weirdos.
her, though.
What's that?
We never actually invited her.
I called her. Didn't I call her live on the show and invited her to come on it?
Oh, that sounds familiar now that you mention
Yeah.
it. I mean, the political junkies, we're going to be talking to someone tomorrow. It's going to be a real interesting interview. So you'll have to
Really?
tune
Do I
in.
get to know?
You'll find out
Surprising.
tomorrow.
Really?
You guys will want to tune in for this. Hopefully we can get it posted by tomorrow.
Is this a
but
presidential candidate?
It may be.
Maybe. I don't know.
You didn't spend your own money, did you?
No.
What are you talking about? No, we got an interview with the presidential candidate.
Yeah, but it wasn't money that you didn't have
Jake,
to spend.
it's not the one that you're thinking of.
Okay. Because we did have a line on one presidential candidate who happens to be behind bars. No? I got to stop talking?
No, it's not
It's
the
going
one
to
that
be
you're
a
thinking
secret. You'll just have to wait and see.
You'll find out tomorrow.
Oh, jeez.
And it's not Trump. It's not Trump. I wish.
Trump behind him.
But eventually we're gonna get that one. But
Go ahead, William.
Oh, shoot.
You know what? Before I forget, pull up Maddie Kingsbury's funeral. I want to bring this up because I was talking to Carmel, and Maddie Kingsbury's funeral is on Sunday down in Winona. This is an obituary. Go read this. I think we'll post this. Oh, I posted on Twitter. So go to action_liberty. We post this on Twitter. You'll meet us there for Twitter Spaces anyhow. And it's beautifully written. Beautifully written. Go read the obituary. Go to the very bottom of it, and it talks about where this is going to be held. Now, they expect pretty big-sized crowds. They just had a parade in Winona. I think it was over Father's Day weekend, and it was so widely attended. I'm sorry, they had a big float or exhibit of like Maddie's Army, basically bringing awareness to, I was going to say sexual assault, domestic violence, because that's what is being alleged here, is that Adam, the father of her children, ex-boyfriend, was violent. That was part of the charging documents, and so people need to recognize that before something bad like this happens. So the Celebration of Life, Sunday, June 25th at 1:00 p.m. It's in the McCowan MCCOWN Gymnasium. That's on Mark Street in Winona, Minnesota. Go to our action_liberty Twitter handle. You can get that there. Otherwise, you could just probably Google Maddie Kingsbury obituary. I think it's going to be really well attended, and it's a powerful message. Anyhow, a couple other comments, and then we got to get off so we can go to our Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, I couldn't find that one good comment way back when, but it was just talking about how RFK could run third party and could take votes away from the Republican nominee.
I mean, there's an argument to be made. I got to see some of the other issues that RFK takes on. Mm-hmm. I've never, ever. If I voted for a Democrat, it would have been a nonpartisan position like a city council member that I just didn't know they were a Democrat, okay? And the issues were okay with me. I've never voted for a Democrat, okay? Certainly not when the party is, but I might not have ever voted for one regardless. I also have not only voted Republican, because there are a lot of Republicans that don't deserve my vote, all right? So I could feasibly see, I abstained from voting in 2008. It was John McCain or Barack Obama, and I thought both were terrible choices. I did not vote in that election.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could have gone third party. I almost was like, screw it. I don't want to vote for either one of those. Either one of these guys, they're just both terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could rationalize voting for a like Kennedy era Democrat, like John F. Kennedy running against a shitty Republican and Joe Biden. I could see myself voting that way. Now, is RFK in line with his assassinated uncle? I don't know, because his other uncle I wouldn't have aligned with, Ted Kennedy. That guy was not That was a more modern liberal, although even that sounds really weird because Ted Kennedy would be probably looking at today's Democrat Party go, what? These guys have lost their marbles. But Ted Kennedy was a wacko liberal. So I have no idea what kind of liberal RFK is in the end. I guess you'll have to see the issues. So it's interesting, depending on the issues, that's potential as a third-party candidate. He could take votes away.
I think he should be Trump's running mate.
I
think
don't know.
that would be a great ticket.
No, he can be appointed to some position that he'd be good at with these vaccines or something, but I don't have full trust in RFK Jr. I mean, it would probably keep Trump from getting assassinated because they wouldn't allow RFK Jr. in there. But
Well, that was the other thing on the JRE podcast is it turns out that Trump appointed RFK to a committee looking at vaccine safety with Anthony Fauci.
I thought that was funny.
I know it was a pretty interesting thing he was saying there. I don't think he was saying that he was on the board with Fauci. I think he said that he scheduled a meeting with Fauci.
No, he was in a meeting. It was like some kind of.
He was in a meeting because he was appointed to the vaccine.
Yeah,
council.
RFK Jr. was appointed to the council, not Fauci.
No, Fauci was too. In his role.
No.
I think you got that wrong.
I think you got to rewatch it.
Okay, well, I want to get to a couple more comments before we log off here. We got to
because I saw that moment again, and I'm pretty sure that he said that.
Why don't we do this? We got to get to our Twitter Spaces. Let's start the Twitter Spaces answering those comments. Okay, so if we left your comment unanswered, go to twitter.com. Go to twitter.com. Go to Twitter. Do you mean to say .com? Oh, it's twitter.org. They don't own twitter.com. Didn't you know that? Go to Twitter, action_liberty. That's our handle. And follow us on Twitter Spaces. We'll see you there. We'll answer the questions we didn't get to on this show. If you're watching after the fact, make sure you follow us on Rumble. We're live every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. We'll see you again on Thursday.